They shifted with the winds, eternal and ever-changing. Here time itself seemed to slow, to stretch thin. Only the hardiest life dared to exist. Scorpions skittered. Vultures circled high above, patient. The silence was immense, a heavy blanket. It was broken only by the sigh of the wind. Dr. Aris Thorne squinted at the horizon. His eyes, weathered by sun and sand, searched. He was looking for something specific, not just any patch of desert, but a place whispered about in forgotten texts. A place where the desert held unusual secrets. His small team had been out here for weeks. The heat was a constant companion. Their supplies were managed carefully. Hope, like water, was a precious resource. Each sunrise brought renewed determination. Each sunset brought tired limbs and the vast starry sky. The desert kept its secrets well hidden. The team approached the shimmering dune cautiously. The air around it felt different. There was a faint hum, almost below the threshold of hearing. Lena Hansen, the geologist, was the first to kneel. She let the sand run through her fingers. It looked like ordinary sand at first glance. Golden, fine, warm from the day's sun, but then she noticed it. Tiny specks within the sand. These specks did not reflect the light like normal silica. They seemed to absorb it, then re-emit it with a soft internal glow. It was faint, almost imperceptible. Lena pulled out her magnifying glass. Her brow furrowed in concentration. The individual grains were not uniform. Some were perfectly spherical, smooth as polished gems. Others were jagged, with intricate, almost crystalline structures, and they were all subtly, almost invisibly pulsing with that faint light. She had never seen anything like it in her career. This wasn't any known mineral. It wasn't any recognized geological formation. The desert was full of surprises, but this was beyond any expectation. Dr. Aris Thorne was a man driven by history's whispers. His silver hair was often dusted with sand. His face was a map of lines drawn by sun and thought. He believed the past was never truly dead, merely sleeping. This discovery felt like the culmination of his life's work. He saw not just sand, but a potential key, a key to understanding a forgotten chapter of the world, or perhaps something even grander. He approached the mystery with a reverent awe, tempered by scientific discipline. Lena Hansen was the rock of the team, grounded in the tangible. Her expertise was in the earth itself, its layers, its minerals, its slow geological dance. This sand defied her understanding. It challenged the very foundations of her knowledge. Ben Carter was the youngest, a wizard with technology. His world was one of signals, data streams, and algorithms. He saw the vibrating sand as a puzzle to be decoded. Together they formed a triangle of inquiry. Each brought a different perspective to the enigma. It began subtly, a few days into their focused investigation. The vibrations in the sand became more pronounced. Ben's sensors picked up complex frequency patterns. They were not random. They were structured, almost like a language. At first, they thought it was the wind. The desert wind could play strange tricks on the ears. It could moan through rock formations, sigh across the dunes. It could mimic voices, create phantom sounds. They were used to its deceptions. This, however, felt different. It was too regular, too persistent. Lena was the first to mention the whispers. She was cataloguing samples in her tent. The wind was still that night, yet she heard it. A soft murmur, like voices just out of earshot. She thought she was overtired. The heat, the relentless work, it was taking its toll. She dismissed it. But the next day, Ben reported something similar. He had been analyzing the frequency data. The properties of the sand were unlike anything recorded in scientific literature. Each grain, when magnified, revealed intricate patterns, almost like tiny etched circuits. They pulsed with a soft, internal luminescence, a cool light that varied in intensity. The vibrations were not chaotic. Ben's equipment showed they occurred in complex repeating sequences. These sequences modulated, shifted, and interacted, creating an incredibly sophisticated symphony of frequencies. It was as if each grain was a tiny instrument, playing its part in a vast, unseen orchestra. Lena focused on the composition. Spectrographic analysis was baffling. The sand contained known elements like silicon and oxygen, of course, but there were also traces of unidentifiable substances, elements that did not appear on the periodic table. She theorized these unknown components were responsible for the light and vibrations. Perhaps they were stable exotic matter, or materials formed under conditions not found on Earth. The implications were staggering. This sand was, in a very real sense, alien to their world. Ben, meanwhile, was lost in the data. The frequencies ranged from deep infrasound, felt more than heard, to ultrasonic chirps beyond human hearing. He discovered that certain patterns correlated with environmental changes, the intensity of sunlight, the direction of the wind, even the proximity of the team members, all seemed to influence the sand's music. It was responsive. Theories began to fly as thick as a sandstorm. Lena leaned towards extreme geological pressure. Deep earth minerals with piezoelectric properties could explain vibrations and light emissions, but it didn't account for the complexity of the signals, nor did it explain the unknown elements. Ben considered a natural radio source. Could the sand act as an antenna for cosmic rays? The sand was the broadcaster. Aris Thorne recalled Saharan myths of singing sands, a civilization that imbued memory into the desert. Or perhaps something not of human origin at all. The whispers grew bolder. They were no longer faint murmurs on the edge of hearing. They became clearer, more distinct, and then the truly unsettling began. The sand started to whisper their names. Lena was the first to report it with certainty. She was alone, taking core samples, when she heard it. Lena, a soft, sibilant whisper, seemingly from the air around her. She spun around, heart pounding. There was no one, only the endless dunes and the humming sand. She tried to rationalize it, but the clarity was undeniable. Soon Ben heard it too. While calibrating a sensitive microphone array, he heard his name, Ben, interwoven with the complex frequencies. It was not a human voice. It was something else, something synthesized from the sand's own strange music. It was melodic, yet deeply unnerving. He replayed the recording. There it was, undeniably. His name, sung by the desert. He felt a cold dread creep up his spine. This was no longer just a scientific curiosity. This was personal. Driven by a mixture of scientific fervor and a desperate need for answers, the team decided they had to dig. If the surface sand was so active, what lay beneath? Was the phenomenon concentrated deeper down, or did it extend for miles under the dunes? They had limited equipment for excavation, a small portable ground-penetrating radar unit, shovels and core samplers. It was slow, arduous work under the relentless Saharan sun. The humming seemed to grow louder, more insistent, as they disturbed the deeper layers. The ground-penetrating radar, managed by Ben, revealed anomalies. Strange, dense pockets deep beneath the surface. These were not rock formations. The signals were too uniform, too structured. They seemed to be massive concentrations of the active sand, or perhaps something else entirely, something the sand was covering. Lena took core samples at increasing depths. The deeper she went, the more intense the glow of the sand became. The vibrations were stronger, the unknown elements more concentrated. The whispers, too, seemed to emanate with greater clarity from these deeper samples. Aris supervised the dig, his mind racing. He felt they were on the verge of something monumental. He recalled ancient Egyptian beliefs about the Duat, the underworld, a realm beneath the earth full of mystery and power. Was this some echo of that? The symbols formed by the sand were the key. Aris recognized the patterns, not from Earth, but universal archetypes. Ben photographed the patterns, feeding them into his algorithm. The algorithm found a recurring pattern, a Rosetta Stone. A voice spoke of journeys, time, and purpose. The sand was a traveler, a sentient library.